Hey, welcome to Movie Schmovie, episode number 16.
The Thing.
Nothing lucky about it.
Lucky, not because it's an odd number.
It's even. 16's even.
Oh, 16. It's 16?
16.
Holy shit balls. I'm a complete asshole. It's actually about Paranormal Activity 3.
You're way off today, man.
I was super off. I don't know what's going on.
You don't know math or your numbers. You don't even know what movie we're talking about.
It's because I was spooked out.
Yeah, let me tell you guys something. This is a very special episode. We're completely not doing the Mighty Minute review.
Right.
We're focusing a lot of this episode to talk about the feature review, which is, like Ronald said, Paranormal Activity 3. And just before recording this, we actually may have experienced the beginning phases of Paranormal Activity 4.
Definitely. We were trying to record it at my apartment, and there was this humming, and I don't know where it was coming from. We checked everywhere.
We tracked every possible source, and
not there.
It's probably there's a ghost there.
Right.
So
it's spooky.
Maybe we can make our own and then become millionaires like the guys that make these films.
Millionaires.
Yeah.
So we're covering Paranormal Activity 3. A little backstory on the Paranormal Activity series in general. So this is one of those series that kind of swept the nation. It started off really small. The budget of the first movie was $15,000, and it earned $196 million.
That is insane.
The budget on the second was $3 million and earned $177. Which is still really impressive, considering, I mean, this movie was made with close to nothing.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
Even this one, I think, is only $5 million, right?
Right. It's
something super low.
Yeah. So this is kind of an addition to the shaky cam, found footage, reality-style scary movie that is becoming kind of popular now. But this one, to me, is one of the ones that's a little special because it knocked out the Saw series.
Thank God.
And kind of the height of it.
Oh, my God.
And it kind of brought us to something new in terms of the genre. So,
yeah.
It's the third, and this is the... sequentially, this is a prequel to the first two.
This is a prequel to the prequel to the first two, but almost a prequel to. It's like 3, 2, 1. Almost is how they actually play out in the anthology or in the trilogy of the films.
Right.
So if you're watching Paranormal Activity 3 and it's the first one you've seen, maybe go in reverse, give it a shot, see how that feels.
It's gonna be an incredible experience.
Before we get too far into it, I want to give you guys a little taste of what's coming if you want to check this film out. So here's a clip from Paranormal Activity 3.
Katie, Christy, say hi to the camera. Something's going on.
What do you think it is?
Do the knocking game you showed me, remember? How do you do it?
I don't know, ask her.
I really like that trick.
It's not a trick. You've been doing it all day.
There was something in the house. Christy's like connected.
A real-life poltergeist.
She's like Carol Ann. I just gotta film this stuff. I set up my cameras around the house, right? I can maybe capture something.
Yeah.
Really, watch. See that?
What? Oh my God. What is going on?
Hey, Christy. I saw you talking to somebody.
Kinda. He's very sweet. He's my friend.
I don't see him.
Staring right next to you.
Honey, he's not there.
This is not simply about Kristen. This is connected to your side of the family. It definitely knows about her.
Katie?
I'm worried about you and the girls.
Somebody say something!
I felt like digging in my side.
Did you hear that?
It's okay.
I was scared.
Christy! Girls!
We're getting out of here. Just get in the car and drive.
So yeah, 1988. The sisters, Katie and Christy, they're very young, and this is basically following the roots of what happened with the Paranormal Activity. It's very interesting because what's happening is you get a very early look at how the chaos began, and where some of the roots of the things that you see in the first and second movie are. This is actually a prequel of a prequel of a prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's kind of cool how the movie starts. Like, you have a really quick clip, not to give away too much of the film. when the Paranormal Activity 2 came out, there were clips that worked into the film that integrated Katie and Micah from the first film. And, in a timeline that was happening almost at the same time that the second film was taking place. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool that this film actually starts off with a pretty effective scene that takes place, in 2000, I think it's 5 or 6, whenever the first two take place, where we see Katie bringing over a box of videotapes to Christy and basically giving her these tapes of them as a kid, or them as kids. And, Christy and her husband, Daniel, they basically put it in their basement. And the last piece of scenery that we get from that part in time is the scene in the film where, in the second one, where their house is robbed, which is how the film it's in the early piece of the film. And nothing's missing. Well, in this film, we find out that something was missing. It's a piece of footage that we didn't see in the second film. Right. And the things that were missing was this box of tapes. And from there, we basically just jump into, like you said, 1988, and we're introduced to Katie and Christy, as an 8 and 5-year-old, respectively, and their mother Julie and their mother's boyfriend Dennis, right. Who is, for all intents and purposes, awesome guy, treats the kids awesomely. The mom loves him. But we are in a period where, we definitely get to see those touches of the 80s nostalgia, and, and he has all these cameras because, just by chance, he is a videographer who does wedding videos. Right. So, we have all these people in this family in 2005 and 6 and also back in 88 that, for whatever reason, they have so much access to camera, equipment, which, it's whatever, you have to commit to it, and you have to just submit to what's going on with these films. But
it works because these people obviously have a lot of money, as you see the huge house that they live in, the kitchen island and all that stuff. So the cool part about this movie in general is that every movie in the Paranormal Activity series has a format. So it's basically the footage starts, they show the nights, and it kind of progresses from there. But this one has a different spin on how the images are captured. So in the first two, it was basically a fixed camera, and then it kind of switched between them. And in this one, there are fixed cameras, but there is a rotating camera in this one. Dennis props a camera up on a fan that he took apart so that it kind of shifts from left to right, sweeping across the kitchen area. Yeah. In the basically the biggest portion of the house. Now, one thing that's really interesting too is the rhythm of the camera movement. Yeah. That kind of is interesting about Paranormal Activity. It shows you very interesting still footage, get you comfortable, and then eventually it sneaks up on you and starts with the kind of disturbing footage. But believe it or not, this is not very boring. You think that this would be boring, but this is not very boring at all. It's actually really exciting to see it progress.
Yeah, you're right. And that's one of the things I think sets these films apart. What made the first one so successful, like you mentioned, rhythm and pacing, like that is key, in my opinion. That's what makes these movies work. Not just a cool story, and these films build on backstory as they progress, but like you were noting, I think like what is interesting is that each film, even though there's some consistency, each film has a very unique rhythm to it. In the first film, in Paranormal Activity 1, basically, you have Micah's camera that he either has on him or he sets up, right. In the bedroom. And that's basically, you're at the mercy of that camera. Mm-hmm. And that is what we're basically going along with for the whole film. In the second one, it kind of was interesting, even though the story was, the story and structure was very much a retread. You had a lot more access to angles and footage because there was a lot of complex cuts because of the security system that Daniel has installed. Right. There's I think at one point they say 6 cameras or something like that, picking up the front door, the pool area, the kitchen, the living room, the baby's room, all these areas that, we have real estate to look at and to look for what that thing that's moving is. Mm-hmm. So they kind of add another level to it. And like you just said, the X factor in this film is definitely the oscillating fan that Dennis kind of rigs up. Because, we still have his handheld camera that he mounts. He has a camera in, Katie and Chrissy's room, and he has a camera in their bedroom. But when he kind of comes up with the idea through the movie, about halfway through, that, you know, I need more footage of other areas, you know, he basically like dismantles this fan, and that fan really is what makes the rhythm of this film really step apart, because like you said, there's 2 rooms, the kitchen and living room, that, you know, we have this new access to halfway through the film. So not only are we still looking at the kid's bedroom and the bedroom of the husband or the boyfriend and the mother, but now we have this fan that literally, in long takes that don't cut at all, going from kitchen to living room to kitchen to living room. And every pan, we're just waiting to see what it reveals when it comes back. And these are cuts that include people in them, you know, not just still, you know, when everybody's sleeping, like, you know, footage when the mother's in the kitchen or the babysitter's in the living room, whatever it is. It just reveals, you know, so much more with each pan left or right. And that's so different, because everything else, we're static. We're watching a shot happen, and we're looking for that difference, you know, that door that moves or that bed sheet that pulls. But with the oscillating fan, it's like you can't get comfortable looking at one spot. You're literally moving with the fan, and you almost like, you feel like very, I don't know, it's not controlled. Right. You know, and that kind of makes it even scarier.
Right. This. All right. Make no mistake about this movie. This movie is a little grown-up version of the series. They have more money, and it's very obvious in the way it's approached. Like, the rhythm is different of the cameras. Another thing that they do, you could tell this is a sequel. They broke a lot of rules, and I'll get back to that in a little bit, because this is going to progress. One of the things that's very different is a lot of the rules that they had on camera before didn't occur. Remember when the couple, Katie's the older one, right? Yeah. Katie and her boyfriend, Micah, were on camera, and they didn't want to record sex.
Right.
Sex was recorded in this one. The footage that's captured on this one also is very different. It's not as subtle. It's way more aggressive this time around. Yeah. And it breaks a lot of rules that the other 2 had, which was, you think in a sequel, the third, that it would be kind of a weird thing, but it worked really well. Yeah. Which I really liked. Another thing that changes a lot too is we flesh out the mythology surrounding the Paranormal Activity series. Yeah. And that's important because it changes the tone of the entire movie.
Yeah, it definitely kind of roots it in a different way. I mean, it's weird. Like the addition of this film definitely kind of fleshes out some of the mythology and the backstory. And, you know, having watched the first 2 films again recently, and really kind of looking at, because I'm always somebody to look for the holes in the plot, right? And there, you know, it is what it is. There are actually quite a few of them. Right. Having seen the third one, and, you know, where it fills in some answers to questions, it creates new ones. Mm-hmm. You know, it's almost like, you know, everybody gives a hard time. Like Lost was the show that always did that. Right. And don't get me wrong, this is on no level compared to Lost in the way that show, you know, I guess revitalized that network. But it's more so like, you know, oh, this is how that happened. But then after that happened, something else is like, but wait a minute, how did this get to that? You know what I mean? It is. Like, it fills in a blank, but then it actually creates a new blank after it a little bit. Right.
This is not a standalone movie. This isn't the type of movie
weird. Like, I feel like some people could see it as a standalone, but like the inquisitive type of person, right? Like myself, like I would not be. I'd need to see more.
You'll be completely dissatisfied if what you're looking for is a story, because actually what happens is, which I think is really pretty cool, it turns one thing about Paranormal Activity that I enjoy is that it's on a very simple level, a found footage movie. Yeah. On another level, it creates a curiosity about the mythology, and then it's answered very subtly, almost through dialogue, without kind of handing it to you all the time.
Not too much like exposition.
Right. Yeah. Too much exposition can be really hard to kind of bear, and this movie doesn't have that. It's kind of revealed through dialogue. And then there's a lot of references to the first 2 movies in the third, so.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some people could probably see it and be fine with it, but I mean, like, they're not going to get a lot of the things, those factors, like, oh, that's what that was. But I mean, like, I think it definitely kind of opens up the storyline a lot more, since we get to see where all of these references from the first 2 films are. Seeing them as kids. You know, in the first movie, when, you know, Katie is talking about, you know, this presence when, you know, she was a kid, and always, you know, seeing this mask that would come to her bed, she talks about in the first one. you know, and even making comments about, you know, her and actually Christy in the second one are talking about like how they did seances as kids and stuff like that because of bad spirits that haunted them or their house or whatnot. And you know, it makes sense. You see it coming together in this film. But I mean, where it's trying to thread those pieces of storyline together, I feel like it misses in some areas. You know, the most obvious thing that anybody would ever say is like, how do these girls go through the activities that happen in this film and become adults and not remember it or block this out? And then at one point, maybe they got their mind wiped or like they've been brainwashed or something. Right. But they remember pieces of it. But I mean, when you see the events of this film, you're like, how would a child grow up and not remember this?
Right.
You know?
That's actually one of the hugest
issues.
One of the hugest. Hugest is actually a word.
Is it really?
It's actually a word.
Really?
It's one of the hugest issues that I have with the movie is the traumatic events that happened to the girls. Completely, like, they remember that a ghost was at the foot of their bed, but they don't remember that it tried to kill one of them.
Yeah, that it lifted one up by their hair into the air.
It completely ignored it. Yeah. They completely ignore that. Yeah. One thing that's very weird also is if you follow found footage movies, you know about Blair Witch. Blair Witch was a hit the same way the Paranormal Activity was. One thing that happened in the second one was fleshing out the mythology of the series, which ruined.
It was horrible.
Ruined the movie.
Yeah.
Now, some could argue that fleshing out the mythology of the movie in the third is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's shoved down your throat. Almost all of it in the third act.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
With like where the whole like demon thing is coming from.
Right. That's not good. That's not good. It's shoved in your throat. Like
I didn't really feel like it was shoved. I didn't really get that impression. I mean, I feel like just because of my knowing where the first two films were coming from, and also like just kind of going along for the ride in terms of, you know, basically just agreeing to the fact that I'm going to sit here for an hour and a half and see why they even made a Paranormal Activity 1 and 2. Right. You know, this is the backstory. This I've read up. You know, this is a prequel up to a prequel or to whatever. I didn't really think that it was shoved down your throat. I do think it happens, and I think this comment is why I feel like this movie works really well. Is that it happens fast. This whole film as a whole, I feel like amongst the whole series, it picks up and it ups the ante in every level.
Right.
You know, I feel like, the ending of this film is not only a climax, but it's also resolution. So, like, you have a climax in action,
right?
But you also have a resolution for what story we've been told in the first two films.
It broke a huge rule.
Which was what?
They left the house.
That's awesome, though. Which is what I'm saying. Like, this film ups the ante. Like, in the other two films, like, why the fuck aren't they getting out of the house? And in the first film, I think Katie even says something about, like, it's not the house, it's me, or she says something like that to her friend.
Right, that it follows them.
It follows her, yeah.
Right.
So, in this first film, you're like, oh, well, maybe that's the case. I don't know. Like, this is the first film. Maybe it starts at this house. Mm-hmm. But then you see, you're right. There comes a point where you're like, oh, wow, they're actually breaking the rule, but doing what you think a normal human would do.
Yeah.
Which is like, get the hell out of the house, you dumb people,
It's interesting because it's a sequel that breaks rules, which I think sequels should do, and almost always executes it right. I think.
Yeah.
Like I said, the mythology behind the seances and whatever it is gets kind of weird to me, but that's not enough to scare me away from the entire movie. Now, one thing that must be put out on the table is that the third act didn't exist. Apparently,
really,
I did some reading up on it.
Yeah, you were telling me about this.
Yeah, so basically, what happened was there was another ending, and then the third act was kind of put in, which is basically once the rules get broken and they leave the house. In the original, apparently they didn't leave the house; it all was resolved.
That'd be interesting to see that then.
Right. So that's how it was basically described in the Hollywood Reporter article that I read. which is interesting to think about.
Well, this series, like we were talking about earlier today, like it's basically it's notorious for having multiple endings.
Like we talked about that. Like the ending that I saw was totally different than the ending
than when you saw. Yeah, because let's admit this. Like you just saw these films for the first time, like yesterday.
Right, and my mind is blown.
Right, exactly.
Like I didn't think that I honestly didn't think that I'd like it at all. But
and it's funny, we referenced these films on our first podcast when we reviewed Insidious.
Right,
and at that point you hadn't seen them. So, you having just saw them and actually seeing a different ending of the first film than was in theaters, it's interesting because, I mean, like, it definitely plays differently. With the first film, the endings were pretty similar.
Yeah,
like, the resolution was pretty similar. It just kind of played out differently. But, I mean, and even I think there's alternate endings for the second film. But with this film, if the DVD comes out and, like you're saying, they have a cut where, like, that whole third act when they leave the house is not in there, I'd be very curious to see how they tie this film up at the end, for you to be at that understanding of, the understanding of where the girls, where the haunting or the possession of this demon, like, is coming from. Because it's coming from a place very close to them.
Yeah.
And not to give too much away without ruining the film, like, it's kind of a cool twist, I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
To kind of move over and talk a little bit about the production itself, like, I feel like talking about the directing duo that made this film. If anybody has seen the film Catfish, which came out last year, Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman, I think it is, the co-directors of that film, you'll see a lot of similarity in terms of their film directing style in this movie.
Oh yeah, this movie is a lot more cerebral. They did a lot of stuff that was really different. Like the characters are a lot more fleshed out.
Yeah, they feel real. They feel like somebody I know.
Right. And they're really, if you saw Catfish, really into deterioration of relationships between people, and you can see that happening in the movie a lot more than you could in the first two, and it's done a lot better. And
not just you can see it happening like a lot more effectively, but like it's gradual.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in the first two films, like you can almost pinpoint like a 2-minute time range in the film where you can see them starting to argue and yell and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And in this one, you slowly see, Julie and Dennis like kind of arguing more, or you slowly see Katie and Christy not being on the same page and things like that. So yeah, I think that's a good call.
Yeah. I also thought that sonically this was one of the best movies. Like,
the sound design?
Yeah, sound design. Yeah, because what happened was, I mean, sure, it's supposed to be it's 80s footage, right?
Yeah.
And some of it sounds a little, like, dry in areas, but the movement in the movie theater that I heard was pretty crazy. So
yeah, I mean, the sounds in the house, like the deep moans, the creaks, even like really random like high pitched sounds where like you and I were looking at each other like, do you hear that?
Yeah.
Because it was like, is that the movie? And it is. Like you hear them reference it in the movie, but it's like so subtle, but just so well integrated with the film, and those sounds that come out when it's like that loud bulging bang.
Right.
It like just fucking knocks you off your feet. It's really effective.
So one of the writers, Oren Pele, I don't remember how to pronounce that.
Pele.
Peli, whatever. He told in a recent interview, he said in a recent interview that basically the third installment of Paranormal Activity is his homage to Poltergeist.
Homage, you mean?
Homage?
Did you say homage?
Yeah.
Like hummus, but
homage? Is that?
It's homage.
It's a homage?
Yeah. Dude, let me just take you on a lesson one day, okay?
Please.
Even in odd numbers?
Even in odd numbers. I'll pay homage.
Okay.
Yeah. Seriously, though, it's supposed to be Poltergeist.
That's what Oren Peli said?
Yeah.
He's actually, he's like the director of the first one.
Right.
And then he produced these two. I don't think he wrote this one. Christopher Landon wrote this one. No,
Christopher Landon did.
Yeah, he did the second and the third film.
He did Disturbia.
Yeah.
And Burning Palms. Burning Palms is, I shit you not, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that just gives you faith that somebody can turn it around.
It's terrible. Like,
little tidbit, Christopher Landon is the son of Michael Landon. I don't know if you know who that was.
Michael Landon?
Highway to Heaven?
Highway to Heaven, Knight Rider.
Knight Rider?
Was he Knight Rider?
No, that was David Hasselhoff.
No, he was the voice.
No, that was Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What did he have to do?
There's our tangent right there. I was a teenage werewolf.
Hold on, no. Let's look up Michael Landon.
Yeah, well, anyway, Christopher Landon, Michael Landon's son. There you go. That one goes out to my mom because she was a big Highway to Heaven fan.
You're right, Highway to Heaven.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, they're definitely, when you're talking about homages or homages, whatever you want to do, there's a ton of them in this film, and not just Poltergeist. You know, that's one that jumped out at me, and actually I'm going to be talking about Poltergeist a little later. But the look, the tone, the feel, the 80s, everything about this film definitely rings a bell to Poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, other films also, I think, you know, the scene in the film with the there's a scene with I guess a presence under a sheet, you know. Mm-hmm. There's a babysitter, you know, she's playing ghosts, telling a ghost story to Katie, and she has a sheet over her head, and she's in the kitchen a few shots later, and you know, this sheet's coming into the kitchen. I felt like that was an obvious kind of tip of the hat to Halloween, you know, with Michael Myers' infamous scene when he has the sheet over his head, and the girl thinks it's the boyfriend who's already been killed. Mm-hmm. I also picked up on one for I'm not sure that this was the intention, but for The Shining, the figure that the girls communicate with, specifically Christy in this film, which is the figure that, you know, we come to understand is like the demon that is, you know, kind of haunting them in the first two films, is named Toby, mm-hmm. which I feel like is kind of a nod to Tony from The Shining, which was Danny's imaginary friend.
Interesting.
Yeah, little things like that.
Yeah, I can see that. I
feel like somebody that knows what you're talking about.
So good.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
And just little things like, you know, Amityville Horror, like, just because of the family. With Amityville, it's more so the family dynamic that really stood out to me. If you've seen the original Amityville, or even the remake, I mean, which I actually kind of liked, you see that family that's on cloud nine in the beginning of the film, and they're just like, they're so good. And right. It's a husband and wife they're good looking, they're successful, they love their family, like the kids are great. And, you know, in that film, it's the house that deteriorates them, you know, the haunting of the house. And in this film, it's this demon. But I feel like that's when you talked about that relationships thing that they kind of tap into.
They're really big on that. Like,
I think they definitely kind of tapped into what Amityville Horror did. Like, as that film progressed, you saw that family falling apart, and the father, you know, basically being possessed and, you know, trying to kill people, you know, and shit like that. But lots of cool, you know, homages in this film. Poltergeist, The Shining, Halloween, Amityville are just the ones that really stuck out with me during the film too. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention that we kind of talked about earlier, like at the very beginning of the movie Schmovie, was kind of the home court advantage watching Paranormal Activity.
Dude, yeah, we talked about that in our first episode for Insidious.
Right. So what's happened is, all right, I watched Paranormal Activity at home, and I have an incredible TV, a good sound, all that stuff.
Sure.
And I still didn't feel the way I know I would have felt if I was in a movie theater. I know this for a fact.
Yeah.
Everyone that I've talked to that's seen this movie at home, the majority of them don't feel the same way as the people that I know that have seen it in the movie theater. I think that you have entirely too many distractions, especially for most horror films, because you're like reading text messages and being distracted by people talking and all that stuff. When you're in a movie theater, your eyes are focused on the situation. It's huge and in your face, and you're forced to look at this thing. I think what happens a lot of the times is when scary things come up, people kind of walk away from it, or, you know, this when you see it in a movie theater, you're forced to kind of...
Yeah, you're in a seat in the middle of a row with 10 people on the sides of you. You're not getting up and walking out.
Right. You can't take a piss break, kind of like you could at home. You can't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you know, I would almost revisit that. Like, I feel like when we talked about it before, I was like, at home sometimes I'm scared just as much, especially with a movie like this, only because it's about a house, you know, or a haunting. So, you know, I'll be like, you know, you hear little creaks as I'm watching the movie, it scares me more. But definitely last night, and knowing you experienced it, you know, the first two films at home, and seeing how you reacted to the film in theaters, you know, I could see that you were reacting completely different to it.
Oh, man.
And I mean, like, looking over you and, you know, the people that we're in the theater with, like, it's definitely, you know, that kind of horror film that you enjoy watching in the theater too. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I'll say that with a little asterisk next to it. let me just get up on my high horse again, because you know, this is the kind of movie that you enjoy watching with an audience, and you know, you hear people scream and you see them jump out of their seats, and even you know, I'll allow a little nervous laughter, you know, before something scary happens or after it happens.
Oh yeah.
But for the people that can't shut the fuck up,
that's
oh my god, man, seriously. I do not understand what is wrong with the American movie-going public.
People are uncomfortable.
Do you not know how much movies cost these days?
I know.
I do not want to pay $10
Yeah.
To hear you dictate what the character should be doing in the film.
I hate that.
Man, I can get it. If something's scary and you're like, oh, you're scared, you pissed your pants almost, and you're laughing afterwards to laugh it off. Totally cool by me.
Yeah.
Let that laughter come out. But before a scene even happens, or as it's building up, as that suspense is intentionally placed for us to be even more scared, you are completely cheapening it for the rest of the crowd if you can't keep your damn mouth shut.
Right. Very true. It bothers.
That's all I have to say about that.
I
don't want to come off mean, but that makes me so angry. And another thing, if you have little kids, don't take your kids to see horror movies like this. Why don't you learn how to be a parent?
It's scary. Okay.
Do you see how scared these kids are in the movie, and your kids are younger than those kids?
Right.
Let that be a lesson to you. Leave them at home. Pay a babysitter.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't have your raggedy ass baby yell at them.
I love babies. I'm gonna have some one day.
I love them,
but
too.
I will not be taking them to Paranormal Activity 3 when they are still unable to sit up by themselves in a chair.
Yeah, I'll throw my nacho cheese container at a little kid if they.
Yeah, but that nacho cheese was good.
It was really good.
You're not giving that up.
It was
to a kid.
incredible.
Yeah. So back to the movie though.
Oh yeah. One thing I think is really cool is the fact that these characters are so much more likable than any of the other ones.
I agree.
And the build. I
kind of want to hang out with Dennis.
Right.
He was cool.
Dennis was a really cool guy.
Michael was an asshole.
And Dennis's friend.
Randy. He was nice too. Yeah.
Right. So the way the movie built up in the third one helped suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
To a point that when things were happening, I almost felt like I was involved in it. I was feeling the emotion and the fear that Dennis had when he started to see the footage, and he didn't want to show it to his wife because he didn't want to see like how upset she would get, and he was like really fearful. Like it was this dueling thing. He wanted to fight this thing, but he also didn't want to petrify his wife to the point where she would basically leave.
Yeah.
So
I think that you're right. The characterization was much better. I feel on some levels this film outdoes any of the other movies. I think it doesn't have that shock factor that the first one had. I feel like this is easily probably at least the second best in the series, if not the best. I mean, some people, I want to definitely check it out again, and I want to watch them in reverse this time, like I suggested earlier. But I think Paranormal Activity 3, it's in theaters now. Solid movie, especially this time of the year with Halloween coming around. For a good date night, good scare. I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Third act might turn you off a bit. I mean, I'm just saying. I love the movie. The third act, because it goes from like found footage to this third act that gets very like, what just happened? Very quickly.
But almost like an actual horror movie, like a fictional horror movie or something.
Right. But I think that's actually, I imagine that's how it is. It's no like warning.
Yeah.
When insanity ensues. It's just like
gotta go with it. You gotta go with it.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely give it my blessing. I say check it out. I liked it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It's in theaters now. So moving on to our DVD quick picks. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to go ahead and, like I said earlier, I referenced Poltergeist. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw that out there again. I think Poltergeist is definitely one of my top horror films. Mm-hmm. I remember being a kid and seeing Poltergeist, and I've always been super obsessed with Steven Spielberg, and he only produced that film, even though there are like all these rumors that he came in and like kind of touched up Tobe Hooper's film, like with problems that he saw with it. But regardless, the final product of Poltergeist, I feel, is an amazing. The original, this is not so much the sequels, but an amazing, just suspense thriller of something that you almost feel like could happen to anybody.
Right.
It's the perfect suburban family out in California, much like the family in this film, mm-hmm. which definitely kind of like another kind of thing we say it taps into all these 80s movies. But, that have this amazing family and this amazing life, and then just weird shit starts happening. Mm-hmm. And, we all know how, or most people know how Poltergeist ends. I'm not going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. But, Craig T. Nelson's in it, Jo Beth Williams, the young girl who played Heather. I actually don't know what I don't know, is that her name is actually Heather or not? I don't know her name, but amazing performance by a child. I remember just being a kid then and watching this little girl and just being like, that could be my friend, oh my God, like it was so real to me as a kid. And I saw it when I was a little older. I mean, it came out in 82, and I was born in '81. But I saw it probably when I was like maybe 6 or 7.
Gotcha.
At home because my mom knew better than to fucking take me to the movie theater to see it.
Because you would jump out of your seat.
Yeah, exactly.
Piss your
but
pants.
it's available pretty much everywhere. But if you want to kind of do a little at-home viewing of a film that will definitely kind of creep you out as much as Paranormal does, I would definitely recommend you checking out Poltergeist.
So mine is a Spanish horror film, found footage. I think I spoke on the first one, Record, a little while back. So this is Record 2. The reason I bring this one up is because it is a perfect example of a follow-up to a found footage film that pretty much provides everything that the first one did and ups the ante. It's basically a zombie film, and it starts off calm, and the perspective is changed, camera things are changed, and it's one of those things. Like it's basically the idea that I said behind Paranormal Activity, where basically things change, the game changes a little bit, but it still maintains the heart of what the film's about and still executes it really well. So, Record 2.
Yeah, actually, I haven't seen those films yet, and I feel bad for not, and I need to. So I have to put them on my personal list. I actually want to make a little correction because I'm a big stickler for not talking the wrong information. Heather O'Rourke is the girl's real name that played Carol Ann in Poltergeist.
Okay. Gotcha.
The little girl in the film, Carol Ann, that everybody knows, the iconic thing of her sitting in front of the TV screen with the static on the TV.
Right.
Her name is Heather O'Rourke, and unfortunately she passed away at a young age, but
wow.
she was incredible in Poltergeist and super scary, super creepy, and so I just want to correct that. I feel bad when I get shit wrong. Damn it, Steve. Bad Steve. But yeah, those films are both available on DVD. I'm going to definitely check out Record 2.
Please do.
I know you always rave about it, and I don't know. I feel bad that I haven't followed through on that for you.
See it, man. Record.
That's my commitment to you. But that's going to wrap up the episode. I want to just throw a little teaser out there right now.
Okay.
Because if you're listening to this, we have a really special episode coming next week.
Oh, yes.
So in celebration of Halloween or All Hallows Eve, whatever, Samhain, whatever you want to call it, we're going to record a very special episode. Horror movies are probably one of my favorite genres.
Okay.
Halloween, fall is one of my favorite holidays.
This is new to me. The horror genre is new for me.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm loving it.
You're going with it.
I'm going with it.
So basically, we're going to have a special horror film episode next week. Where we're going to kind of go through
Cool.
our tops in the genre and discuss them, and maybe hopefully give you some suggestions if you haven't seen some of them. And we may even have a special guest on. Who knows?
Oh no.
We may fill out the tripod next week. Special guest star. But yeah, guys, thank you so much as always for listening. As you know, we always throw out there. Hit us up on our sites, mainly the movieschmovie.net site, and we have the email. So if you want to shoot us some suggestions about movies you want us to talk about next week on the horror episode, movieschmovie@gmail.com
please
is how you reach us. So again, thanks so much for listening, and please continue to do so. Share this podcast with your friends. iTunes links, whatever you can do. Do you have anything to add, Ronald?
Twitter.com/movieschmovie. And I'd like to thank everyone for tolerating us and loving us at the same time and appreciating us and all the positive feedback. I love it. Thank you.
It feels good, right?
It does.
This is fun.
It's very
to do
fun.
something fun and have people listen to it, like your friends, family, people you don't know.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. And it feels really good to have the ability to let you listen to number 16.
Yeah.
We never thought we'd get that far.
Crazy sauce.
And we're going to keep going. So we'll talk to you guys soon. And as always, you've made our day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.